left the Zoom, but I have Layla in the waiting room, and she didn't want to tell a dating story or do a mock date, but she did want to ask me a question. And so if there's nobody that wants to jump into the Zoom to tell a dating story, well, forever hold your peace, and we're gonna have Layla come in and ask me a question. So what's up?
Nothing much. To be honest, I don't remember the exact question I sent you, but I do know it had something to do with networking.
Cool. Well, like, I'll explore, dig around and see, maybe the questions will start to come. Now, are you talking about networking in terms of making friends?
So right now I'm job hunting
Mm-hmm.
and I went through your course a couple months ago, but I wasn't dating.
Mm-hmm.
But I am intending to apply that for online networking, like a Bumble Biz.
Mm.
So kind of like in that realm of should I just be networking online versus bringing that into like in person?
What is the main thing you want to get out of networking? Or are there several things? Just kind of go down the list.
Two main things would be obviously to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond just kind of like using people for that purpose, I do actually want to meet people in my industry to make
Mm-hmm.
friends with and be able to go to exhibits or events with.
Mm. And what is your industry?
Fashion industry.
Nice. And specifically, what are you interested in getting into?
So I was working as an authenticator in Jersey, and now
Mm.
I'm looking for a design job in New York.
Nice. And where do you live in Jersey?
In Newark.
Oh, Newark. Oh, that's great. How close
Yeah.
are you to the see, it's been so long, to the path?
I'm pretty close. I live in the Ironbound, so I'm like a 10-minute bus ride from Penn Station.
Great. Good. So how quickly can you get to New York, you think?
Like 30 minutes, I would say,
Oh, that's
30 to
awesome.
40.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Spend all of your time in New York.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now this is, you've come to the right person. I lived in New York for like 6, 7 years, and,
Mhm.
I got to know a ton of people in the fashion industry just being out all the time. But the great thing about New York, and you're so fortunate that most people in most cities don't have the opportunities that people in New York do. And the reason is because New York people are like the most networky people in the world. They're the most ambitious. They're constantly looking for connections and to grow and to build. And they're not, well, I mean, at least the people that I knew, not social climbers. They're genuine people that are really looking to help, and if as long as you could bring value to them. And there's always events going on in New York. Always events. So have you spent any time in the meatpacking district?
The meatpacking district, not so much.
Okay.
I have been looking like at Meetup or Eventbrite to look for in-person events in New York.
Mm, cool. And what kind of things did you find?
Different like lectures within my industry, museum exhibits, or like gallery openings.
Hmm. Okay. Those are great. So gallery openings are such a great way. And when you're there, what do you do at
Mhm.
the gallery opening? Tell me how it works for you.
So this would be my first time networking with the pandemic. I just kind of stayed inside. And
Hmm.
so I think that's one of my concerns or what makes me nervous is approaching people
Mm,
in person
yeah,
and knowing how to talk to them.
great. Okay, so that's where we're at. Okay, got it. So, um, I like trying to find like tricks that are really simple that people kind of like slap their head when they hear them. But one thing I found that relates to that is when you go to one of these gallery openings, which is my favorite place to meet people. because they're always professionals, but they're always artsy. They're usually in like the fashion industry or something in that world, the creative industry. And they're professional too. They're ambitious usually at these things. In like Chelsea, where do you go to these openings?
Most of them have been in Manhattan, but I've seen a couple in like Brooklyn,
Yeah,
Bronx, and Chelsea, like you mentioned.
got it. Okay. So what tends to happen when we go to a social event, especially when we go by ourselves? And do you go by yourself?
Yeah, I think if
Okay.
I go with someone else, I'll just kind of like hold on to them and not
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
anyone. So the plan is to go by
Good.
myself.
That's great. And I love how ambitious you are about that. That's like most people would just go, I don't want to do it then. I won't go by myself. So that's great. Now, whenever we go to one of these events, no matter how cool it is and like we're the type of people we'd want to meet. By the way, are these the type of places where you'd actually like to meet people, or do you don't really
Yeah,
dig the vibe?
like just by myself, I do tend to go to exhibits or
Mm-hmm.
openings. So I feel like it'd be regardless of like networking or career wise, I think I would meet friends there.
Great. Awesome. Okay. So here's the really stupid slap your head rule for going to these events. I want you to be the first person that arrives at the event. Get there
Okay.
before anybody else. Okay? What tends to happen is when we arrive at one of these places and
Mhm.
everybody's talking to each other, everyone's having a good time, the music's really loud, everyone's drinking, and you just hear and the music's playing, and the intimidation, it like just goes up. It's like, oh my God, everybody's friends with each other, everyone looks so cool, everybody's doing like knows each other, and I'm here all by myself. I don't know anybody. And so that's the feeling that we're all going to get. But I found when you're the first person there,
Mhm.
especially for people that are a little more introverted like myself, and I imagine maybe you too, um,
Yes.
for extroverts, because they're in the moment all the time, they're very little in here. They're very often out here. Taking in a very big social situation, like going to the nightclub or going to a crazy party, that is so easy for them. They could just take it in like a fire hose into their face because they're so used to just dealing with reality. They're just like, woo, whoa, ba-da-ba-da. They're always here, right? For
Mhm.
introverts, when we go, oh, I want to be outside of my brain, my thoughts, my feelings, constantly analyzing, constantly deciding how I'm feeling, whatever it is. And I just want to be out here for a little bit. It always, especially when we haven't done it in a while, it always is going to feel like we're putting training wheels on again, again,
Mhm.
again. And so we need to take it more slowly than an extrovert does. If you jump to an event or a party or wherever where it's already going like at level 11, you're not, and you're going in with your training wheels. And so what you want to do is when you go there early, like literally before anybody gets there, okay? Like literally talk to the person that's managing it or setting up the drinks and the food. The first person, then you're able to deal with people like a drip faucet rather than the faucet just shooting at you. So as somebody comes in, it's just one person and you, or maybe two people came in and you. And so what do? Then it's so much easier to go talk to them because it would be weird for just two people to be in a room and not say anything to each other. So when that person comes in, you just be like, oh, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. What's your name? What are you here for? And just ask them some normal questions like that. Introduce yourself. Tell them like who you are, why you're here as well.
Mhm.
And you don't have to make best friends with them or whatever. But as that's happening, maybe somebody else will come in. Already, if you were the person that went up to that first group and now a new group comes in, there's going to be something that goes on in your head where you feel almost like the host of the party.
Mm.
And when they come in, it's going to be like, oh, well, they are the strangers. Me and my friend, we got it going on here. And so it's like and then you will feel more compelled to go up to them too and say something and meet them. Now, what's going to also happen is as you're kind of doing this and allowing yourself to introduce yourself to all these people at a drip pace, really good for introverts because we're kind of flexing our muscles when we're out in reality and interacting with people, socializing. So it's like we're getting used to it. We're building the momentum up. When you interact with these people at a drip pace, what's going to happen is you're going to lose yourself in conversation with, say, somebody that you really connected with about whatever topic. Maybe somebody is in the fashion industry here and you really thought it was so cool and say, oh, wow, tell me more, whatever it is. You're going to turn around in a half an hour and go, oh my God, there's a lot of people here. And then you're going to look around and go, wow, I actually talked to about 20 people in this room already. So it's like, say for instance, you go somewhere else, maybe go get juice or wine or whatever the hell is at the table. You'll already maybe see somebody that you know and be like, oh, hey, how's it going? And so it'll feel like you already kind of know the room a little bit. And say, for instance, another cool thing that you could do is when you maybe are looking at a piece of art on the wall and somebody's next to you, you could introduce yourself and then you could say, who did you come here with? And the cool part about asking that question is you might have met that person already, because sometimes people come late to meet up with their friend. Oh, John, I know John. I just met him. And so things become a lot more easy because it's almost like you're the host of the party in this place. Cool? Have you ever
That makes
considered
a
that
lot of
stuff before?
sense. I wasn't really sure how to approach people, but it definitely makes sense that it feels less intimidating to have one-on-one interaction than for me to approach a group. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so remember, it always starts with the first person that comes in. Because if there's already a big group, it does get overwhelming. But if you get them as soon as they come in, it's almost like you're also nipping it in the bud, the social anxiety. You're kind of jumping in head first and saying, I'm just, here we go. And it's going to be a lot easier to do because there's so much less people there. And so you might end up talking to those people for 10 minutes, who knows, before the party actually gets started. And, honestly, before I give you, more advice about how to interact with the group and all that type of stuff, I honestly think that would just be overkill for you. And I think it would be kind of not necessary at this point. I think you just need to say, I'm going to get started slow. And I just want to talk to the first person that comes in, the first two people that come in, and see how I feel towards the middle or the end of the event.
Yeah,
Cool?
that makes sense. I'm starting slow with my goal,
Yeah.
so my goal is to talk to 1 to 2 people to
Yes,
start with.
exactly. But I have a feeling you're going to do much better than that, than you think, if you get there really early and just commit to saying, I'm going to talk to the first two people. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to be ravenous about exchanging contact information with people. Are you on
Okay.
Instagram?
Yes, in preparation for all this, I wasn't
Great.
really on social media, but I've been updating all that.
Good. Okay. So make sure that every time you meet somebody, especially if it's somebody that you liked or even slightly connected with, just say, it was really great meeting you. We should connect. And just use that literal phrase. It was really great meeting you. We should connect. And then they'll say, of course they're going to say, yeah, sure. And then you say, are you on Instagram? And then that's it. You just follow them on Instagram, have them follow you back. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to start then following a bunch of people that are in the world the universe that you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see, what's going to happen is the great thing about Instagram stories is you really do get to see people's day to day. So if somebody works in fashion and maybe they're on a shoot or something like that, who knows? You'll see that, and then you could respond to the story and be like, oh, that's really cool, blah, blah, blah. Maybe ask a question. And just those little things there are going to keep you connected with a lot of people in your industry. And, you know, who knows what opportunities can come from there. But I want you to really be strict about it, because the thing that most people do is they go to these events and they meet people, but then they go home and they go, well, what did I get from that aside from just talking to people? When you go home and go, wow, I actually connected with some really great people and I got some contacts.
Mm-hmm.
You could go home and go, wow, that's actually cool. Like that moves me further. And another thing is, if you really connected with somebody, you say, oh, we should totally get lunch sometime. We should totally do this sometime. If there's something that you guys connected on, we should get this to sometime and talk about fashion in whatever way. And then when you message them on Instagram, maybe you'll respond to one of their stories. Oh, that's so cool, the photo shoot you did. And then they'll say, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You could respond with, by the way, we should get lunch sometime this next week or sometime soon. And if they say, yeah, say, what's your schedule like? And then there you go. And you'll be starting to build that network, that social circle of friends.
And with things like Bumble Biz, which is kind of similar to dating,
Yeah.
would it be ideal to translate the people I connect with to in-person interactions, or would it make more sense to just leave it kind of digital and follow them on other platforms?
I think both.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, you always want to turn things in person,
Mm-hmm.
because when you connect with somebody in person and make friends with them in person, I mean, like, it's such a stronger connection, and they
Yeah.
will remember you more. They'll like, because obviously they met you, so they know how you interact, they know how they felt when they were with you. So say
Mm-hmm.
there's an opportunity that comes your way, and they go, oh, they thought of you at that time. Oh, wow, actually Layla would be perfect for this, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is. And so yeah, you want to meet people, but like, you don't have to like go, oh, I have to meet everybody I talk to on BumbleBiz. Like, at the very least, just connect with them on Instagram, just so
Mm-hmm.
you could see their stories. You know?
Yeah. Just kind of get like a feel for the person and
Yes. It's
then
so funny
pursue
how,
the
like,
connections that make more sense.
yes, exactly, exactly. Knowing, like, oh, I didn't even realize this person's lifestyle is like this until I saw
Mm.
their stories. And so it's so great. And the other great thing about stories is it's so much less awkward to text them or slide into their DMs randomly, because when you respond to a story, it feels much more organic. And
Mm-hmm.
then once you get them, hooked and they respond, then you have that opportunity to say, by the way, we should connect. Like, we should go do something. Cool. So
Yes.
now you
Thank you
know,
so much.
yeah, so now you know your homework.
Okay.
But the next thing is,
Mhm.
before you go, is like, the other great thing about going to art gallery openings, all that type of stuff, is in New York, especially, it's expected for you to meet people and to just talk to strangers. It's not a weird thing. It's maybe more weird to be at like a bar and do that, but to be at a party, an event, it's so much more expected, because
Mm.
everyone is gathering around a shared interest. And another thing is, like, you could even say, do you know the artist? Make sure
Okay.
the other thing is, that's another thing, is meet the artist. The artist is probably going to be the first one that's there. So when you
Yeah.
meet the artist, then you could go to each person and say, oh, did you meet Eduardo? Oh yeah, he's really cool. His art. So it's like, it gives you also a connection to that. But I'm telling you,
Mm.
like, it is not an awkward thing to talk to people at events. It is expected. It's actually the opposite of awkward. It is awkward if you're alone at an event and you're just in the corner not talking to anybody. Like people want you to come
Which is where I usually am.
Yeah, but like people are definitely wondering like, wow, why isn't she talking to me? Like, oh, that woman looks cool, like, you know. And so it's something, I just want you to go in with that headspace, like, oh, like they want me to talk to them. They're hoping for it.
That makes sense. I think I tend to psych myself out, but a lot of people in New York tend to be very outgoing and upfront about talking to strangers.
Yeah. So like I said, that just get started small little steps, but always go, you know, I would prefer, you know, I feel that, so like the thing I tell my clients all the time is like, I'm literally have the same brain as you. I have just as much social anxiety as you do. The only difference is I know how to take the steps to not feel anxious, right? So it's like, if I went to a party at halfway through the party, I would feel anxious. I'd be like, everybody knows each other. I don't know. I'm the uncool one. Everyone looks so cool and fun and happy. I know nobody. That's how I would feel too. If I was the first person at the party, then I wouldn't feel anxious because then I'd feel like the host of the party. So I just do things that I know are going to make me feel not anxious. Cool?
Yes. Thank you so much again.
Yeah.
That's honestly very helpful just because I think once I'm in a conversation, it's easier for me to continue, but I never know how to start.
Yeah, totally. All right, cool.
All right. Thank you so much.
And anytime you want to come ask, don't feel like you have used your Anthony coins, you know,
my coupon.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could come on anytime you want and ask a question here.
Okay. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Betas is a show about relationships made for the weirdos, introverts, and artists who love people, conversation, and learning to embrace who they are instead of molding to what the normies want from you.